So I'm just here heating up my morning coffee, trying to get myself psyched up for what promises to be a really, really rough day. So with Tater's back in Orange County, she's been going over things in storage that we had, set up for later in the hike. And that includes the strategic reservoir of Ultra Olympus shoes. Unfortunately, one of them is the blue color, and after that bad experience with that other pair, now both of us are kind of paranoid. It's like, well, do we risk it? So I guess I may have enough shoes to, make it all the way to the end of the hike. Also, kind of cool news, those of you that have been following since the Florida Trail, if you remember my last day on the Florida Trail before Fort Pickens, I ended up camped at a beach and I took a picture of the sun setting over Pensacola. I submitted that to the FTA and they're using it in a calendar they're doing for the Florida Trail. Now, if you want said calendar, it's kind of expensive because it's a gift for donating $55 to the FTA, but hey, they're using it. So as of this morning, I am out of the whites. That is all behind me. Really enjoyed the whites, but it has also been really rough. I enjoy the feeling of being in kind of like more remote-ish terrain, but it is made for some crappy hiking because there's a lot of, like steep ups, pull on roots, climb up rocks, stuff like that, which is not the most fun when you've got a full pack in your back, but I am also currently 5 miles from my last state line, Maine. Country lines are different, province lines, yeah. So excited to reach the last state, and today is likely the Mahoosuc, which is notorious for being the hardest mile of the AT. It's apparently really steep, but you've got to climb up rocks, pull on roots, things like that. Oh yeah, haven't seen that before. For Andreas, he said, let's see, what did he say? Mahoosuc, the notch will kick you in the crotch, but the arm does the harm. That sounds fun. And I am currently trying very hard to hobble towards the shelter to use the privy versus having to dig a cat hole out here. Okay, I'm now feeling much more relaxed and ready to start the day. Apparently sometimes there's moose at this lake, but no luck today. This trail really doesn't like headphones. I use those Apple pack-in earbuds, and I've had, I don't know how many go out on me. I assume it's all the moisture and rain and everything. There's a little control box down here, and sometimes it'll just make my phone start going crazy. Sadly, similar to democracy, it's probably not the best solution, but it's the best one I've found. So, and what inspiring song did my phone come up with this morning? Long Way to the Top If You Want to Rock and Roll. Followed by that Warren Zevon song, My Shit's Fucked Up. Hey, that should be my theme song. I sometimes wonder at the decision-making process that goes on behind where to put these things in, because this ain't that steep. Okay, we having fun yet here? Yee frickin' ha, huh? Don't you hate it when you find yourself climbing Mount Success without a mankini and a big fake mustache? Such a lost opportunity. Ha! Success! Fun times. Ooh. Have I mentioned how much more I prefer going up this sort of thing? So if you're curious how Maine's going so far. Yeah, fun times. The joys of blue blazing down a hill to get water. I do find it kind of interesting, all of the dry meadows with boards across them, and then all the really muddy spots that we're having to wade through, Vermont style. Welcome to the new state, same as the old state. Though, everybody keeps saying it is going to flatten out eventually at some point, but not for several days, never fear. This is back the way it came. Can you see the guy hiking up the quote-unquote trail there? You'd think it'd be less work for him to cut switchbacks than to rebar it, but... You would think. So it's 4 o'clock and I'm just coming over the top of Goose Eye. Not quite as quick progress as I'd like to make, but what you gonna do? Mahoosuc's over there somewhere. And sadly, still not to the difficult part. This is the ridge that never ends. So I've got a shelter down here, which is supposed to have some water. Then I go over probably that other bump, and that goes down to a campsite. And then the quote-unquote fun part starts, I think. We'll see how far I make it today. Okay, so it has taken me until 6 o'clock to make it 10 miles. Mahoosuc, however you pronounce it, is another 1.6. I'm pushing on. Supposedly there's some stealth sites closer. Everybody else that I've been jumping back and forth with is staying at the shelter back there, but it's a little too crowded for my taste. Here's hoping I don't regret this, huh? Once again, if I need it, the water source is basically the trail. Might, taste a little bit of Vibram, but it's all good. Okay, I'm down here and I do have a campsite, but I gotta find water. Okay, so I had to do a little bit of rooting around. I managed to find some pools of water down the Success Pond Road trail. And so it looks like this is gonna be home sweet home for the night. And then I'll do the notch and the arm in the morning. I don't usually like sites like this because unfortunately, if anybody else comes through, guess where they're gonna end up? Right next to me. Probably with, I don't know, night terrors, snoring, and God knows what else. I do have to say, as much as today was rough from the hiking perspective, I mean, I was only able to make 12 miles going all day. This has been the first day I feel kind of back to normal, I guess, since Taters has left. Takes a couple of days to adjust to being solo. Okay, home sweet home for the night. Hey guys, it's Taters Tuesday, and you know what that means. Tiny animals unfigured. Yeah, no energy for that. Okay, so as it turned out, the allure of the shelter must have been too much because I had this place to myself last night. I'm just currently packing up, had my third cup of coffee, and I'm going to start out with my poles packed away since the reputation of this next section is that it's kind of like bouldery, up, down, and over. I should be over the Mahoosuc Notch, Mahoosuc Arm today and reach the end of my penultimate section of gut hooks for the AT. That's Grafton Notch. So for the last 2 days, despite fairly long days, I've only made 12 miles. That's just because, especially going down the big steps, I got to go slow because of my knees. Also yesterday, there was a lot of mud. There were a lot of those boards going across the alpine bogs, but in a few cases, you could see somebody went deep. I actually got my feet soaked at one point because, okay, you got to step off into the mud and it looked fine, and then this is why I'm glad to have hiking poles. If I didn't, I would have ended up like waist deep in bogs so often. Also, interestingly enough, the west side of Mahoosuc Notch actually does have AT&T LTE. I've been able to get messages in and out. That's one of the reasons why when people ask me, like, what's your advice for through hiking? It's buy a brand new phone, preferably iPhone, something like that they're going to replace if you break, and make sure you have AT&T or Verizon, because otherwise you are not going to have reception very often. And while you might not think you want reception out here in the woods, it actually does come in very useful. It's not just, oh, people can reach me. It's when plans change, that's how you're able to look up, where you might go. There's been a couple of people back behind who are way, way behind on their plans. They don't have enough food, so they've been up on the peaks, Googling which towns they can hitch into and which are going to have what they need. Once again, there's all sorts of what appears to be moose poop back here, but no sign of moose. Gee, tell us how you really feel. Mahoosuc sucks, huh? I came down here just a short ways last night. Temperature dropped massively down here. Best random comment I overheard this morning from the shelter people passing me while I was drinking coffee was somebody cussing at the fact that somebody dared call this a trail. Just your average little boulder scramble. So per the description, you've got to take your pack off sometimes to get it through these small little notches, but there are alternatives. I just came down that. I hate taking my pack off. Can't really video worth a damn while I'm moving, obviously. But so far this has been a mix. There's, the occasional jungle Jimmy, bouldery sort of things, and then it goes back to normal trail. Canyons are so much fun. Yeah, I think we're going under there this time. All you gotta do is follow the scrapes, blazes, and occasional blood splatters. Hey, mid-Mahoosuc water source. Piece of cake. Okay, looks like that's it as far as the fabled notch. Incidentally, way better campsite on the north side of this notch than on the side I stayed on. And now, up the arm we go. Instead of t-shirts with like huts on them, the AT needs a shirt that just says, switchbacks are for wimps. Oh yeah, straight up the side. Well, welcome to Mahoosuc Arm. So that looks like its old spec. You can just see the fire tower up top. 0.3 off trail, but it's supposed to have really nice views. I think I might run out there today. Okay, decided to walk out to Old Spec and climb the fire tower. Not too bad of you. Shame the rain's coming back. Okay, tagged Old Spec, climbed the fire tower, which was kind of cool and vertical. Taters would have loved that. Oh well. Now I am just looking for a place not covered in gnats so I can eat a snack. Might just end up pushing on to the next water source. So I've been carrying very little water through this section. My normal carry is I carry 1 liter, and then whenever I get to a water source, I drink about 1.5 liters to 2 liters. Since there's been more of this scrambly stuff, I've gone down to carrying 0.5 liter. I don't like being completely out just because you never know what's going to happen. I've had things happen where I was no longer able to hike out, so I don't like to be completely out. But at the same time, water's kind of heavy. How do I justify that? When I carried one of those, black box hiker wines in over like the climb to Wildcat? Easy. Wine is yummy. Water is water. Feels good to be on dirt again. Feels like I've been going up and down rocks for, days. Okay, so I got to Grafton Notch, and I was just looking forward to being able to dump my toilet paper bag and use a pit toilet, and lady had awesome trail magic. So I've now had a donut, 2 hot dogs, a bunch of fruit, Gatorade, and I'm much happier. Onward to Wrangley. I was really dragging after that morning in Mahoosuc and then that big descent. So trail magic was amazing, but unfortunately it's hard to kind of say no and then take off again. Especially I was having a really nice time chatting with the lady. I was trying to convince her to go do the PCT because she did the AT last year. So it was interesting to compare notes, when the organizations were trying to get us not to hike, et cetera, and what the experience was out here. But people have such weird misconceptions about difficulty of the PCT. Really a shame. And this is officially the last gut hook switchover of the AT. Okay, this is the sort of climbing I need. Maybe about 260 miles worth, maybe. So it's been one long stone staircase here. Unfortunately, it looks like weather's going to hit me. Per the radar, there's some sort of tropical storm that's going to not hit, but come close enough to spin some rain off at me. Yay. I'm going to try and find a place to camp. Just have to find water first. Okay, so I am in need of cover and water, basically. Okay, so the site back there had water plus a tent site. However, Minnie was occupying it, so now I am continuing. Hopefully I find something before the weather hits. So far it's not looking too bad, but at some point the storm blows in. Oh, yeah. Still looking for a camp. Unfortunately, this is kind of an alpine-y area. There's supposed to be one down below, but it seems to be getting busy again. Minnie back there was just flip-flopping from Harper's Ferry, so she was heading north. Getting a lot of Sobos and various folks again, so back to bubble contention issues around campsites. So yes, this is a tent site. It is a very small one, and as you can see, the Nemo barely fits in it. Also, interesting thing, you see that splintered tree behind it? I went and looked at the tree and I poked it. It promptly dropped a branch on me, which kind of hurt, and then the tree fell over. So yeah, always test your trees.